Please don't kill me, I will confess, I will say the truth. Bisi cried, her voice shaking like a broken drum. Tears streamed down her dusty cheeks. She knelt by her burning Akara pan, the hot oil popping and hissing like it knew something terrible was about to happen. All around her, angry people circled, holding sticks, stones, and bottles. Their eyes burned with fury, their voices like thunder. The smell of fried Akara mixed with a heavy stench of fear. Bisi's hands trembled. Tiwa was nowhere in sight. A long time ago, in a warm, lively town called Akara, lived a kind woman named Bisi. She was young, with a soft smile and skin like roasted peanuts. Bisi sold Akara every morning under a big mango tree by the roadside. Her stall was simple. Just a wooden table, a small bench, and a big black frying pan set on stones over the fire. Bisi was a single mother. Her husband had died in a sad motor accident when their daughter, Tiwa, was just a baby. Tiwa was now 6. Bright-eyed, beautiful, and always smiling. She loved to dance and sing songs she made up herself. "Mummy, I want to help you fry today," Tiwa would say, tying a scarf around her small waist like her mother. "No, my sweet sugar," Bisi would reply, kissing her forehead. "You can help me sing to the Akara, that's how it comes out sweet." The townspeople loved Bisi, not just for her golden, tasty Akara, but because she was kind. If someone didn't have money, Bisi would still give them food and say, "Bring the money tomorrow, it is well." But though she was loved and her Akara was famous, Bisi didn't make enough. After buying beans, oil, pepper, firewood and other things, there was almost nothing left. Some nights, she and Tiwa would share one piece of yam with palm oil. Still, Bisi never complained. She always smiled. "God is watching us, Tiwa. He has not forgotten us." One hot afternoon, the sun hung low and heavy in the sky like a tired eye. Bisi was at her stall, flipping Akara gently in the hot oil, the smell floating through the air and making mouths water. Sweat dripped down her face, but she kept working. That was the only way to feed her daughter. Suddenly, Mama Iriti, her neighbor, ran towards her, panting like someone being chased. "Bisi, Bisi, come quick, oh. It's Tiwa." Bisi's hands froze. The Akara in the pan burned a little, but she didn't care. Her heart jumped. She dropped the spoon and ran without even covering the oil. She burst into her small room, and there was Tiwa, curled up on the mat, eyes half closed, her lips dry and her skin hot like fire. "Tiwa, my baby," Bisi shouted, lifting her. "Who did this to you?" "Mummy, my head, it's spinning," Tiwa whispered, her voice faint like a fading candle. Bisi's hands shook. Her heart beat fast. Without thinking twice, she wrapped Tiwa in a cloth, tied her to her back, and ran out again, this time to the nearest pharmacy. She got to the pharmacy barefoot, crying, "Please. My daughter is sick. Help me. Fever. Headache. Her body is hot." The man at the counter gave her some drugs and said, "Give her these. If it gets worse, take her to the hospital." Bisi gave Tiwa the medicine. She watched her with eyes wide open like a guard. But hours passed, and Tiwa only got worse. Her eyes rolled back, her voice disappeared, and then, she couldn't even sit up. Bisi screamed, a loud, painful cry that came from her belly. She carried Tiwa in her arms and ran to the hospital like a mad woman. "Please, my child is dying. Help me," Bisi cried, bursting through the hospital doors. The nurses looked at her and said calmly, "Where's your deposit?" "I don't have it yet. I will pay. Please save my child first." "Madam, we don't work on credit," a nurse said, folding her arms. Bisi knelt, still holding her weak daughter. "Please, please, she is all I have. I will pay, I swear I will." After many minutes of crying and pleading, a kind doctor finally agreed to stabilize Tiwa. They gave her oxygen and put a drip in her tiny hand. But then the doctor came out and said, "You must bring the money. We can't do more until you pay." Bisi wiped her tears and ran out of the hospital, her slippers flapping on the dusty road. There was only one person who could help her now, Teosi. Tosi used to be her best friend. They grew up together, sold things side by side. But when Toyosi met a strange prophet who blessed her hands, she became rich. Her restaurant was the biggest in town. But she no longer smiled at Bisi the same way. Still, Bisi had no choice. She ran to Toyosi's big, shiny restaurant. People were eating and laughing. The smell of and goat meat filled the air. Bisi waited at the counter, looking messy and worried, until Toyosi came out, wearing fine clothes and gold earrings. "Bisi," Toyosi said, raising her brow. "What's the matter?" "My daughter. She's very sick. She's in the hospital. Please, Toyosi, I need money. I'll pay back in 2 weeks. Please, I beg you." Toyosi looked at her. Her face was blank, like someone watching a fly on the wall. "You refused to follow me to the prophet who changed my life," she said coldly. "I told you, Bisi. But you said God will do it in his time. I'll see you. Always coming to beg." Bisi opened her mouth but said nothing. Shame sat on her like a heavy load. "I'll give you the money," Toyosi said finally, opening her purse. "But after today, don't come here again. If you ever ask me for money again, I will chase you out." She counted the money slowly. 1 note, 2 notes, 3. As if each one was hurting her hand. Then she handed it to Bisi. And as Bisi turned to go, Toyosi said loudly, so everyone could hear, "Learn how to fish, Bisi. Stop begging for fish." Bisi stood there for a moment, the money in her shaking hand. She blinked back tears. She wanted to say something, but instead she ran. It was a quiet, sunny afternoon. The Akara had all been sold, and Bisi was walking home, carrying her empty pan and a small bag of money. The sun felt softer now, the breeze kinder. When she got to her house, she opened the door and paused. There, in the middle of the small kitchen, stood Tiwa. She had tied her scarf like her mummy and was standing on a small stool, stirring a pot of noodles with 2 hands. Bisi leaned on the door, watching her daughter with watery eyes. The little girl was humming one of her made-up songs, smiling like nothing had ever been wrong. Bisi placed her hand on her chest and whispered, "So I almost lost this child because I didn't have money. Because I couldn't pay hospital bills." She sat down, her knees weak, her heart heavy. That night Bisi could not sleep. Her mind ran round and round like a rat in a trap. Toyosi's voice kept echoing. "Learn how to fish, Bisi. Why do you think people prefer my umla? My prophet is very good. All you have to do is obey his instructions." By morning Bisi stood up. She didn't even eat. She tied her wrapper and marched to Toyosi's house. When Toyosi opened the door, her face was surprised but pleased. "I am ready," Bisi said firmly. "You can take me to the prophet." "Now you're talking," Toyosi smiled, revealing her white teeth. "If you want to succeed in business, there are things you do. A lot of people are doing it and it works. Why do you think my umla tastes better than every other umla in this town?" 3 days later, early in the morning when the sky was still sleepy and gray, Toyosi and Bisi boarded a bus to a far village. The road was long and dusty. Bisi clutched her small bag and said nothing. They reached a quiet compound surrounded by trees. Inside they met the prophet, a dark-skinned man with piercing eyes and red beads around his neck. He said no hello. He simply looked at Bisi and smiled. "You are ready now," he said. He took her and Toyosi to a river, deep in the forest. The trees whispered. The air was cold and full of secrets. The prophet tied a white cloth around Bisi's waist, said some strange words, and poured oil on her head. Then he whispered into her ear, "To make your Akara business grow, pour your early morning urine into your Akara batter every day. The people will never stop eating it." Bisi's eyes grew wide. "Urine?" she asked in a shaky voice. "Yes, just a little. Every morning. It will make it powerful. But don't stop. If you stop, everything will go away," the prophet said, his voice like wind in a graveyard. Bisi returned home the next day. Her body was tired, her heart confused. But she remembered her daughter's face, weak and sick on the mat. She remembered the hospital, the begging, the shame. So, she did it. The first morning, she added a tiny amount of her early morning urine into the batter. She whispered a short prayer, frying the akara like she always did. By 7 a.m. people started lining up. By 7:30 a.m., the crowd had doubled. By 8 a.m., people were fighting over who would get the last piece. Ah! This akara is different. Oh. It tastes like heaven. Bisi, add one more. Please. I'll pay tomorrow. Every day the crowd grew. People came from nearby towns. Some brought cooler boxes to carry akara back home. Bisi no longer needed to shout or beg. She didn't even need to fry plenty. Her akara would sell out in minutes. She became rich. She bought new clothes, new slippers, and even a gas cooker. She moved to a bigger house. She registered Tiwa in the best school. People bowed when they greeted her. Children sang her name in the street. But whispers began to follow her like shadows. From Akara. How? That woman must be doing something. Even my husband prefers her akara to my food. She's too rich for just akara. Women started getting jealous. Some would sneak around her stall to watch how she fried. Others tried to copy her recipe but failed. One woman even shouted at her husband, "If you like, go and sleep in Bisi's frying pan. I'm tired." But Bisi, she just smiled. She knew what they didn't know. It was still dark. The rooster had just crowed. Bisi stretched, got out of bed, and tiptoed to the backyard, holding a small yellow container in her hand. Her face looked serious, her eyes sharp. Tiwa was still sleeping. Bisi squatted behind the wall, like she had done every morning for months. She peed into the container and stood up quietly, looking left and right to make sure no one saw her. But someone did. A young woman named Mareo had been walking to the stream nearby when she spotted Bisi acting strangely. She ducked quickly behind a tree and watched. Her eyes widened like big saucers when she saw what Bisi did next. Bisi entered the kitchen, placed the container beside the bowl of akara batter, and poured the urine inside. She mixed it gently, humming a song. Mareo covered her mouth in shock. "Oh my God! She's putting pee in the akara," she whispered, trembling. Quickly, she brought out her phone, started recording, and captured everything. Her hands were shaking, but she didn't stop. When she finished recording, she couldn't stay silent. She ran out from behind the wall and screamed, "Everybody, come and see what this woman is doing. She's using her urine to make akara." Her voice echoed through the streets like thunder. People came rushing, men, women, children. Neighbors, customers, even other akara sellers. "She's lying," Bisi cried, her hands in the air, panicking. "It's not what you think." But Mareo held up her phone. "See the video. I caught you. You poured pee inside the akara mix. Look." Gasps and angry shouts filled the air. "So this is why people love her akara. I gave her akara to my baby. My husband eats her akara every day. You are a wicked woman." Then someone threw a stone. Another person pushed Bisi. Before long, sticks, slippers, and fists came raining down on her. She fell beside her fire pan, covering her face, screaming, "Please don't kill me. I will confess. I will say the truth." People didn't listen. Some women laughed as they beat her. "So you thought you could charm all our husbands, eh? Look at you now." It took the town chief's guards to stop the crowd. They pulled Bisi up, tied her hands, and dragged her barefoot to the king's palace. The palace was quiet. Bisi knelt on the cold floor, her face swollen, her clothes torn. The king sat high on his throne, his eyes full of fire. "Bisi," he said slowly, "is it true? Did you do this thing they say?" Bisi shook her head weakly. "I didn't want to hurt anyone. I just wanted my daughter to live. I was desperate. I'm sorry." "Desperation is no excuse to poison your people," the king thundered. "You turned kindness into evil. You betrayed the town that fed you." After a long silence, he spoke again. "For bringing shame to a pure kingdom, for using charm to control our people, and for putting filth in their food. You are hereby banished. Never return. Never be seen again in this land. Gasps filled the palace. Bisi cried. Tiwa was brought in, sobbing, holding her mother's wrapper. They let Bisi hug her one last time. It was a long, tight hug. One that said everything her mouth couldn't say. Then Bisi was led out, barefoot, with nothing but a sack of clothes and her daughter in her arms. The once famous Akara stall at the corner of the street now stands empty. No more smoke. No more laughter. No more cues. Children point and whisper when they pass it. That's where the Akara woman used to fry. And in a faraway village, a woman and her daughter sit under a tree, eating boiled yam. She tells her daughter stories, not about Akara but about choices, and how some secrets are too dirty to stay hidden forever.